What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with 10.5 weeks out physique update of the reigning 212 Mr. Olympia champion, Keone Pearson. So the most muscular was the shot that Keone actually lost to Sean Carida last year at the Olympia. But at this point, him and his coach Patrick Tour, they are taking down even the strengths of Sean, one by one. I mean, the guy is looking so round and so grainy for this far out of the show. And him and his coach Patrick, they 100% believe that Sean Carida or anyone else for that matter in the current 212 lineup, that doesn't stand a chance against this new version of Keone. And you have got to go with Keone on this one, simply because he has been grinding so hard throughout the year. He has been making steady improvements front to back, top to bottom. And when you have such insane genetics like Keone does, and 8 months of uninterrupted off-season, training just to get bigger, just to grow, just to put on more muscle, and not having to worry about getting the Olympia qualification, that is plenty of time for a guy like Keone to take his physique to the next level. So the most insane part of Keone's journey, from classic physique into the 212 division, is that he put on over 30 pounds of solid muscle, give or take in the last 5 years. And yet he kept all his proportions exactly the same. In fact, his overall proportions, they look even better, even wild than before. Because the thing is, he has built up so much thickness and so much density, and that too everywhere. So do not forget that if he wins his second title at the Olympia in October, the door will be wide open for him to do the Arnold 225 against the big boys. Because we all know, Keone is going to be the men's open bodybuilder in the future for sure. It's only just a matter of time. Next up, we have a physique update from Brett Wilkin. So Brett is just going to have one shot at this year's Mr. Olympia qualification. And that is going to be at this upcoming Legion Sports, which is happening in September. So about 2 weeks before this year's Miss Olympia. So he still has close to 8 more weeks to put up a decent package and potentially win that show and qualify for the Olympia for the second time in his career. But keep in mind, if he does qualify, this is going to be his Olympia debut. Because even though he was qualified for the Olympia last year, but because of some stomach problems, he had to drop out of the Olympia last year when he was just 6 weeks out. And that was a really tough decision to make. That was a really hard pill to swallow, because he prepped for just one show the entire year. He had a very good off-season, but he was unable to showcase all his progress. But he will be stepping back on the stage in about 8 weeks' time. So Brett Wilkin has this great ability to get absolutely peeled, and he's pretty consistent with that. But his biggest flaw is that he isn't one of those guys who take up a lot of space on the stage. He isn't what we call having an overwhelming physique. Plus, he doesn't have any standout body parts either, which also becomes such a big factor, especially at the big stages like the Olympia, like the Arnold. But still, the man has got enough tools to win this qualifier and make his Olympia debut. And that is gonna be with his training partner, Man Fitzwater. So it will be interesting to see at what size Brett steps on the stage this year. Because the last time we saw him on the stage, that was at the Big Man Weekend 2022. So it will be almost after 2 years gap that he will be stepping back on a bodybuilding stage. So do you guys think he can qualify for this year's Miss Olympia? Next up, we have an update from Rubiel Mosquera, aka Nexzilla. So first of all, let me give you guys a good news. His sponsors, EVLS Pro, they have now confirmed that Rubiel is going to be competing in Italy, and that is going to be in 5 weeks' time. And he will be going up against a guy like Hunter Labrada to fight for his Mr. Olympia spot. Now that is going to be a very tough show for Rubiel, considering Hunter has been a seasoned pro for quite some years now, and he has that crazy detailed physique that only comes with years and years of hard work, of competing. And actually Hunter also gave us a physique update. Well, not exactly an update, but a sneak peek of how he is looking right now, at about 5 weeks out of his first show of 2024, which is of course gonna be Italy Pro. So this is the first time Hunter is doing this show, and I have to say the man is looking in a top-notch condition right now. And he still has 5 more weeks to dig deep and bring that next level of conditioning, or maybe even better conditioning than what we saw at Tempo Pro last year. And if he can do that, with the kind of size that he has been carrying throughout this year, he is going to become so damn dangerous. Even right now you can see his legs, they are looking super peeled and still holding all the size that he had in the off-season. So coming back to Rubiel, we should definitely expect him to look a lot tighter, with another 5 weeks of dieting. But still, I don't think that would be enough to beat a guy like Hunter. Now for the real controversy. Another one that was created last night when Rubiel put out a statement that his sponsors did not force him to compete, and some media outlets out there put out negative and fake news. So I have no idea why he did that IG live after placing fourth in the weight pro, because he himself gave people something to talk about. He did not place as per the expectations, and he was sort of losing some of his hype. So the best move for the future would have been to keep working hard, in silence, and actually silence all your critics at your next show. Rubiel is really young in the sport, and he has a bright future ahead, but he has to be careful about what to put out there in the public. Because at this point, making that video, that also felt kinda forced. But do let me know what you guys think. What is your opinion? Next up is the physique update of Jewett, who is going to be making his Olympia debut in the men's open class in roughly 10 weeks' time. So I clearly remember when John placed second at last year's Legion Sports behind Charles Griffin, and he said that he is going to be taking a good long off season and he is going to make it to the Olympia stage next year. Well, mission accomplished. He won this year's Van Pro, where he punched his Olympia ticket. And actually, it was a real smart play by John doing this year's Van Pro, because since that show, all the other shows have been absolutely stacked. And there are still so many great guys out there who are still fighting for their Olympia qualification. So this really is John's first year as an open competitor. So we do not know the expectations that he has set for himself for his upcoming Mr. Olympia debut. So he would certainly like to be one of the most peak guy up on that big stage. So it is actually so insane how lean John has been able to stay throughout this year, and still he put on quite some size in just one off season. So the Olympia is a big man show. There are guys who have insane structure as well as so much mass. So it will be interesting to see how John compares in that kind of lineup. Lastly, we have an update of Michael Crizzle. So even though he's injured and he went through a surgery and he cannot lift even close to the amount of weights that he normally does, and he claimed that he has been using this time to clean his system and also go through a detox phase and just focusing on his legs. So he might be running some low tests at this point. So Crizzle is still maintaining very impressive size, and he's still looking really impressive. So we saw him training out there with Brandon Carey all week, and he actually looked really massive. So those guys carry so much muscle and so much mass, and these guys are so used to eating such large amount of foods, and that really contributes to their size along with the gear. So it is kinda too bad that we are not gonna be able to see Michael Crizzle at this year's Miss Olympia stage. He was 7 last year behind Hunter Labrada, and just the amount of freak factor that he brings to the stage, that is really unmatched. So as of right now, he hasn't given any update of when he is getting his shoulder fixed, or has he already done that? Because the plan was to totally recover before the Olympia and start prepping for this year's Prague, which is scheduled in mid-November. And there is a good news for some of these competitors out there this time. Samson Dauda has announced that he isn't doing any show in the post-Olympia tour, just the way he did last year. So those Olympia qualifications, they are up for grabs. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.